topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Draw me close to you, never let me go. I lay it all down again to hear you say that I'm a friend.
Good day. The Almighty Creator desires a deep personal relationship with you. My name is James Robertson. I'm a researcher, publisher, and teacher regarding the matters and truths of the Almighty Creator, whose true name is Yah, the Eternally Self-Existing. I've been actively serving Him since 1993, over 32 years. If you're not actively serving Yah, then by default you're serving Satan. My objective is to show you how you can make a big difference on earth and qualify for a position of high esteem in heaven for eternity. It's important to understand that as a believer, just being good is not the point. It's relationship with Yah that counts. Without this, you will be in a very unpleasant place in heaven with no way out. My aim is to show you how to get close to Father. If you're a good person without a clear relationship with Yah, then you are in a spiritual no man's land. You'll not enter heaven when you die. The Creator has said regarding unbelievers, why would I want someone to spend eternity with me when they do not believe I exist? Yah is calling everybody on the planet to be involved and serve Him and help Him to have victory over Satan. Fundamentally, we each need to learn to see things on earth from Yah's perspective. Please visit my website at www.endtimeissueministries.org or email me on james@endtimeissueministries.org to discuss further. So today we're going to talk about Yah has given up planning as a consequence of the ineptitude of his followers. The overview. 2 weeks ago I spoke about have compassion for Yah for the huge losses and disappointments he has suffered. As I've contemplated this, I've realized that throughout history, Yah has had to constantly revise his tactics in response to the ineptitude of his followers, sometimes as a consequence of the machinations of the Satanic and Demonic Realm, but mostly just outright ineptitude on the part of believers. So this is based on the article 2024-1210, Yah has given up planning as a consequence of the ineptitude of his followers. Why do I say ineptitude? Search on Google for meaning of ineptitude gives ineptitude in the sense of incompetence, clumsiness, inexpertness. Ineptitude is a lack of skill, ability, or competence. I should also add, in the context of believers, selfishness, foolishness, headstrongness, lust, crass stupidity, etc. to that. Folks, if you haven't listened to that article, that broadcast on Yah's disappointment, just go and check it out. And things like Noah getting drunk and cursing Cain, and things like David having sex with Uriah's wife, bringing adultery, resulting in the whole war and everything that followed on from that judgment. And if you have read the Bible, the Old Testament, you will see just how many times believers got into problems because they didn't do things Yah's way. They got into sin, they got into error, and they just messed up. And so Yah gets somebody and he gets a plan, and he agrees with Noah for a flood. And then Noah nags him and says, you can't let Japheth and Ham stay behind. They'll convert when they see what you do with the flood. And Yah says, oh, okay, I guess I'll agree. And then the one's an idolater and the other's an ancestor worshipper, and they bring that into the new world. Substantially, plus Ham brings the 7 masterminds, substantially defeating the purpose of the flood, because Noah wanted his own way. And so it goes. And I suggest you go back and read that. So why do I say all this? Folks, if you're sober, the world we live in is a total mess when viewed from Father's perspective. And the reason it is such a mess is 100% due to the actions of believers, sometimes assisted by the demonic and satanic realm. Remember that Yah gave all authority on earth to Adam and the sons of Adam, Genesis 1:28. Yah, incorrectly, God blessed them and said to them, be fruitful and increase in number, fill the earth and subdue it, rule over the fish in the sea and the birds in the air, in the sky, over every living creature that moves on the ground. In other words, rule over everything on earth, including the satanic messengers, satanic angels, and the demons, and Satan himself. It's very clear, folks. Yah creates Adam. He says, you manage this place. I've created it for you. I've given you this idyllic setting. Now you run the show. And remember that the whole purpose that Yah did that was he wanted to test human beings to find out who would really serve him and who he could trust to become friends to spend eternity with him. So if we go to Genesis 2:17, but you must not eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, for when you eat from it, you will certainly die. But then in Genesis 3, verses 4-7, then the serpent, Satan in disguise, said to the woman, you will not surely die, for Yah knows that in the day you eat of it, your eyes will be opened and you will be like Yah, knowing good and evil. So when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree desirable to make one wise, she took of its fruit and ate. She also gave to his husband with her, and he ate. Then the eyes of both of them were opened, and they knew that they were naked, and they sewed fig leaves together and made themselves coverings. Folks, the upshot of this is that for 6,000 years, 6,025 years, 23 years, something like that, 22 years, mankind has been learning all there is to know about evil since they knew all about good at the start. So we find that right at the start of the time of humans on earth, Adam disobeys Yah, rebels, and eats the forbidden fruit. Note that Satan planted the thought, but Chava, Eve, and Adam actually disobeyed of their own free will. That one bite, that one little sin is responsible for the entirety of the mess this world is in, the wars and everything. So this is the first instance of a headstrong, self-willed, corrupt human being doing his own thing and disobeying Yah and obeying Satan. And it's important to understand this, folks. If you're getting uptight because of the war in Gaza, ultimately, it traces its origin to this incident. Because by defying Yah and eating the fruit, and it really doesn't matter whether it was an apple, an apricot, a pear, an orange, whatever, it doesn't matter. It was the act of disobedience that was significant. And that broke man's relationship with Yah, and it gave authority to Satan. So by doing this, Adam submitted to Satan and gave all authority on earth to Satan, with the caveat that Satan still had to operate through sons and daughters of Adam, human beings. Human beings have been behaving in this headstrong, inconsiderate to Father Yah modus operandi ever since. And I include myself in that, folks. The article 2024-1205, Have Compassion for Yah, for the huge losses and disappointments he has suffered. List some of the major milestones where believers have taken wrong directions, sinned, behaved in headstrong ways, etc., with major impacts on their lives and the lives of those around them and who followed them. When Yah performed 12 major miracles through Moses in Egypt so that the Hebrews could leave, I've read reports which indicate that something of the order of 1 million other people left with them because they thought that the Hebrews were going to escape from Egypt. That so-called mixed multitude included idol worshippers and. And so they went to the Red Sea, and the people were complaining, and then they went through Moses prayed, and the sea was parted, and they went through on dry land, and the Egyptians were drowned. And this crowd didn't get it. They get to the mountain, Moses goes up the mountain, and then they start asking Aaron to make them an altar and a golden calf so that they can worship it, because they can't see Yah. And this is coming out of this group of people, apart from the Hebrews. And so they intermarried, they interbred, and diluted the people who were supposed to be there. The end result was that Yah got so cross with them, he said, you're going to wander in the wilderness for 40 years while we get rid of your wrong thinking. And it didn't work. They went into Israel, and they still brought their rubbish with them. So you wonder why Yah said, okay, you know what? I've had enough. It doesn't matter what I plan. It doesn't matter who I take into my confidence. You folk mess up. So taking myself as an example, in my own personal life, since serving Father, I've repeatedly taken wrong turnings and made wrong decisions. In 2010, Father went to a lot of trouble to team me up with a wonderful anointed woman to be my wife. I was overawed at her power and authority, and I walked away because I did not think I could be her husband. Something that cost Father hugely, and which I continue to apologize for. In September and October last year, 2024, one of my wives and I got into disharmony for a period of 6 weeks because we did not agree on a key point regarding the COVID vaccine. At the end of the 6 weeks, the house was so divided that I lost a major contract that should have lasted till April 2025. And instead ended up having done no marketing with no income and battling to pay my bills. In the process, as a consequence of my failure to handle the situation constructively, I should have followed Matthew 5:9, blessed are the peacemakers, and consulted with Yah. My ministry was compromised, and people that I should have been able to help financially are in dire straits, and I face being unable to pay most of my bills, and that's as of today. Folks, it's so easy to not do Yah's will. And as in the case with the woman in 2010, before I physically met her in person, Yah said, this is your wife. When we first met and she was praying for me, and her intercessors around the world said, this man is your husband. We got engaged. I bought her a ring. We set a date for a wedding, and I panicked and I ran away. And I didn't even try and fix it. And I kept going with my ministry. I went on 7 3-day fasts, trying to sort myself out. But I didn't go back and try and fix it. And to this day, I don't know why I did that or didn't do it, depending on how you look at it. So I still say, Father, I'm sorry I made such a mess. And there are any number of other instances where, looking back, I've realized that I've made bad decisions and done things that were not helpful. And I'm not talking about sin, folks. I'm talking about just stupid mistakes. And one of the things that I've observed as a spokesman, as a prophet, I went through a period, not so much recently, although it still happens from time to time, but some years back, I ministered quite strongly in the prophetic. And I would quite often give somebody an instruction from Yah, and Yah would say, tell so-and-so this and this and this, and they'd do something. And they go and do exactly the opposite. On one occasion, Father wanted to lift up a man's ministry and make it very powerful. And he said to me, I want you to give him the money that's needed for him to rent a big auditorium and then trust me to fill the auditorium. So I gave him the money and he went out and bought band equipment. The Father said, yes, I'm wasting my time. I sent to a man in Utah, Salt Lake City. Father says, you're the point of the arrow. Lead the attack on the Satanic and Demonic Realm. He was very pleased. He was very chuffed. Sounds important. Within 2 weeks, he'd gone off and done his own thing and completely ignored it. I could go on and on and on. So as I say, there are many other instances where I failed to pray about things, taken wrong turnings that have cost me greatly and damaged my ministry, and yet, again in the above situation, I missed it. I was so wrapped up in my hurt that I lost sight of dealing with the situation appropriately. From what I've observed over the years, this sort of thing is rife among believers, as I said a minute ago. And it's important to note that most wars are triggered by people who at some level believe or claim to believe. If we look at Gaza, on the one hand, we have Muslims who claim to be serving Allah, Allah being the Arabic for Almighty. And on the other hand, we have the Jews, the Israelites, also claiming to serve the Almighty. And they've been going at it for goodness knows how long. And they hate each other. And they don't stop. Now we've got Israel and Iran, because Iran wants to create a nuclear bomb to destroy Israel. Again, believers on both sides. I've mentioned this before. I discovered a year or so ago that Hitler was a believer. Somebody who was taken in a near-death experience, was taken into hell, taken to the deepest, darkest, most desperate part of hell. And there was Hitler being tormented and tortured for all his crimes against humanity. The thing to remember is that hell is for believers to sort out their unrepented sin. It's got nothing to do with unbelievers. Unbelievers have nothing to do with hell. They have no part in hell. So the fact that Hitler was then in hell meant that he would eventually end up in heaven. So how's that for somebody who goes totally off the rails and totally off track? in a horrible, horrible, dramatic way. And back in those days, the days of Hitler, the forces fighting on the other side were Christians. Churchill was a Christian. Just getting into situations where Satan tricks believers into going completely off track. As I said a few minutes ago, I've also seen how consistently, if I give a directional message from Yah to a person, how they almost always go off and do the exact opposite of what Yah instructed them. I periodically get an email from a chap in Australia who's fighting against same-sex marriage and this gender change thing. And he's getting beaten up. And I said to him, Bernard, you're trying to impose your standards on unbelievers. You shouldn't be surprised if their demons react the way that you're experiencing. But he keeps going. I said to him, you shouldn't be worrying about their morals. You should be worrying about getting them saved. But he's more concerned about the minutiae of the law as he sees it, as opposed to focusing on bringing people to saving knowledge of Yah. And then the role of the satanic and demonic, and I've already touched on this. It's important to note that while the satanic and demonic plant ideas in believers' heads, we always have the choice to resist those ideas and go to Father Yah for guidance. Remember, it's written in James 4:7, submit therefore to Yah and resist the devil, and he will flee from you. Very few believers actually effectively resist the demonic and satanic. Most go along with them most of the time because they're not sanctified, they haven't fasted, they're not seeking to live free of sin. I should mention in those couple of incidents that I've mentioned in my own life, as far as I know, the satanic and demonic had nothing to do with it. It was just my stupid carnality that took over there. And even if there were demons involved, I had the choice to not do what I did. I had the choice to take the right direction. And for whatever reason, in both cases, I didn't. Cost me dearly, cost other people dearly. So can you begin to see why it is that Yah is now saying, you know what? I've had it. Every time I give somebody a plan, they go off and mess it up. Every time I have a vision of what somebody can do, they go ahead and mess it up. So I'm just going to sit here now. It's the 7th millennium, and I'm going to rest. And I'm going to stop taking the initiative. And I'm going to stop guiding you to do things in battle. Unless you come to me specifically and say, I'm faced with this situation and I plan to do this. What do you think? And then I'll give you my opinion. But I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it because I don't really think you're going to take my advice. Because I don't have a lot of evidence that you've taken my advice in the past. And I'm speaking generically, folks. What I'm saying, I suggest for your consideration, applies as much to me as it applies to you. Really. So as I say, Father's no longer making plans. It's got to the point where Father no longer makes plans. Every time he plans something, believers mess it up. And I say, including myself. As I said a minute ago, he's sitting back now, watching to see how things work out. He has set the goal of winning the contest in 3003, and he's now leaving it to us to hack it and figure it out for ourselves. He will advise if we ask him, but that's it. We have to ask. See the article 2024-1206, goal setting. Yar's target demographics for 3003, 978 years from now, for a discussion of the objectives Father has set. Folks, this is really important. There's a lot of space in heaven. There are a lot of empty thrones. The throne room is nearly empty. If you're questioning that, read the book, The Final Quest by Rick Joyner, where he was taken into heaven repeatedly. And he describes in detail the judgment seat and the judgment experience. And with the judgment experience, it's important to see the three things. Number one, you will get judged at the end of your life for unrepented sin. And for all unrepented sin as a believer, you will go to hell for a period of time to pay the price for your unrepented sin and get the nonsense knocked out of you. Number two, you will go through a life review. You'll walk from the outer darkness up an aisle in the great judgment hall, all the way up to the front, to where you will encounter Yahushua. And along that walk, you will meet people who died before you, who you may have wronged or may have wronged you. And they will tell you what they did, and you will get a chance to repent to them, and they will have a chance to repent to you. It's cathartic, and it's very, very challenging. Read The Final Quest. And then ultimately you'll get to the front. And it may take you a very long amount of time for the life review. You'll get to the front and you'll come face to face with Yahushua. And ultimately you will then be told what your future is in the throne room of heaven. Have you qualified as a friend, as an overcomer, as a good and faithful servant, as a wise steward, all the way out to the outer darkness, the foolish virgins, and then the outer darkness. So the three things that you've got to keep in mind in terms of how you spend eternity. And that should be informing how you live your life. So one of those things is you're going to be asked in point 3, how well did you perform the work that Yah gave you to do? Better to get dealt with in this life and wait for it in the life to come. And that's where I pray. Show me the error of my present, the level of my present deception and how to correct it. Lead me into all truth by your Spirit. Judge me severely and correct me harshly that I may serve you more perfectly. So I do my best to live life free of sin. I'd like to say that I do my best to live life free of error and mistakes. But based on what I shared with you a few minutes ago, I don't have a very good track record on that one. And yet somehow I've managed to keep serving you. I managed to keep writing articles. I managed to keep doing these broadcasts. I managed to keep ministering to people. And the challenge for you is, as I said a couple of weeks ago, it's up to you to figure out what you need to do with the rest of your life in service to Yah. So just coming back to the contest for a minute, read the article 2024-0809, Satan, the Contest, and the Current Spiritual Dispensation, for a discussion of the contest and to understand what's going on in the world from a demonic and spiritual point of view. Contest, in case you haven't heard me talk about it before, there are broadcasts on it if you go back a bit. At the time that Yah was planning to create human beings, he created a force of messengers, angels, to help him. And there were three forces, one under Michael, one under Gabriel, and one under Hillel. Subsequently became Lucifer and Satan. And Hillel rebelled. He thought he could do better. And Yah judged him, and he was about to cast him into the lake of fire and brimstone, the incinerator of heaven, and just get rid of him. And Satan, or he's still Hillel then, says, I challenge you to a contest. You put me on earth with these human beings you're about to create, and I guarantee you that in 7,000 years, not one of them will believe you exist. Yah was angry. He was upset about what had happened. He says, okay, I'll take your challenge. So he went ahead. They went ahead. And they've been fighting ever since. So if you're really serving Yah, then you're fighting Satan. And if you're not really serving Yah, you're serving Satan. There's no middle ground. So the question you need to ask yourself is, where do I want to end up? Where do I want to spend eternity? And there's a whole article on that on the website. If you look at where will I spend eternity elaborated, I broadcast it, and the transcripts are there. It's quite a weighty article, it's over 100 pages, discussing what's required to spend eternity in heaven and the sort of things that will happen in the judgment, etc. So in the context that I've just been sharing, Yah has warned that if things continue the way they're going at the moment, by the end of the 21st century, there will not be a single believer in right standing. In fact, there may not even be a single believer. It's quite sobering, folks. So one's kind of inclined to think, well, there was Noah, and there was Shem, and there was Abram, and there was Isaac, and there was Jacob, and there was Yehuda, and there was Yahushua, and there've been believers all the way through. The time of Abram, not very many. At the time of Noah, not very many. Arguably at the time of Moses, not very many. But there were a few. So if you are to say that by 2300, where are we now? 2025, so 2099, 2100, sorry. The way things are going, by 2100, Yah reckons there won't be a single believer left. And you can just listen to me on that and say, oh, ho hum. Nothing I can do about it. And the tragedy is that there is something you can do about it. You go to the broadcast I gave last week on being like Yahushua. You can take that to heart and you can put that into practice and come to a place where you're moving mightily in the Spirit and you can lead people to Yah. That's what's needed. Sadly, at this point in time, Yah fully expects to lose the contest. He does not expect us to come even vaguely close to meeting the goals. He's so accustomed to his followers messing up. He's now reached a point where he just takes things as they come. And folks, I don't know if you're getting this, but it's really tragic. Yah went to a huge amount of trouble to create the universe, to create our galaxy, to create our solar system, to create planet Earth, to create you and me. And I've spoken at that in length earlier in the year. I did a whole detailed broadcast on the truth of creation. Meticulous planning in the creation of all the elements, the periodic table. The neutrons and the protons had to be absolutely right to create oxygen and things that we need to live. If you get a fix on what I'm talking about, right way back whenever, and it didn't take place in 7 periods of 24 hours, people, it took place in 7 periods of indeterminate duration. That's what the Hebrew says, not days as most English Bibles say. Just one example of the really stupid translation errors in the Bible, most Bibles. So way back then, when he was creating matter, Yah created oxygen, he created hydrogen. Oxygen for us to breathe, and oxygen to merge with hydrogen to make water. Both of which are present on this earth in very substantial quantities and are essential for life. Yah went to a lot of trouble to set that up. And what I'm saying to you is you're messing up, I'm messing up, we're messing up. As a whole, the church is messing up. So in conclusion, it's my desire that working together, despite our limitations, that we turn things around. The question facing you today is whether you will do Father's will, or will you go off at your own tangent and make a mess of things in your life? Which I hesitate to suggest you're probably already doing pretty well, because that's just the way of things and what I've described. The question is, will you make a real commitment to Yah? Will you start fasting, starting with 7 3-day fasts at weekly intervals, and then graduating to 3 7-day fasts at monthly intervals, and then graduating to a 21-day fast, and finally graduating to a 40-day water-only fast? Fast where you seek Father's face, where you seek to hear him, where you seek to know his will, where you seek to walk hand in hand with him. Where you seek to stop making stupid mistakes. If you are such a person who's willing to make that commitment, I would love to hear from you. It doesn't matter whether you're rich or poor, black or white, or anything in between, tall or short, thin or fat, educated or uneducated. Doesn't matter whether today you're a Satanist, a Muslim, a Jew, a Christian, a Buddhist, a whatever. Yah will meet you wherever you are. He'll take you by the hand and lead you. If you make the commitment and if you do the hard yards. There's an ebook on the website. If you hover your mouse over the word home in the top left corner of the website, you get a selection of 4 articles, one of which is 7 components of drawing close to you. Download it. There's a PDF to download. Print it, read it, apply it. Take you anything from a year to any number of years to fully apply everything that you'll find there in terms of cleansing and so forth. Encourage you to do that. Yah needs you. He needs you to help him defeat the forces of darkness, because he can't do it on his own. He is restricted to working through the children of Adam, which is you and me. So I don't care what rubbish you've been told. It is possible for you, even if you're an outright Satanist, a witch, a warlock, whatever. It is possible for you to come to a saving relationship with Yah and to do mighty works and turn the situation around. Noah turned it around on his own. Yeshua turned it around on his own. Moses turned it around on his own. And others. What needs to happen for you to be that person? So in conclusion, my objective is to sensitize people to the above and to challenge them to seek to reach this level of relationship. Please feel free to email me on james@endtimeissueministries.org, and I'll email you. I will answer your questions and support you in your journey to become a friend of Yah. I look forward to hearing from you. So what is the state of your relationship with the Almighty Creator? I'd like to ask you to critically examine where you are relative to Him right now. Do you talk to Him constantly throughout the day and allow Him to lead you in every possible way? Do you worship Him at every opportunity? Have you clearly and unambiguously heard Him call you friend? If not, you're failing in your life purpose and you'll be bitterly disappointed when you die. If you now come to belief, please pray along the following lines. Father Yah, I come to you in the name of Yahushua. I now believe that you exist. I confess my sin of unbelief and I repent of my unbelief and ask you to forgive my sin. I now commit my life to you and I ask you to take me by the hand and lead me into deep relationship with you. I ask you to fill me with your spirit and to change me and help me to become the person you want me to become. I ask you to help me find people who can help me and help me find books, websites, articles, and other resources that will help me. I ask you to show me what I can do to actively serve you and lead others to deep personal relationship with you. I thank you for saving me. There's a period of 8 days from sincerely coming to belief for the first time, during which there is extreme grace to help you. See the article Critical Actions on First Belief for actions you could take immediately. Drop me an email on james@endtimeissueministries.org so I can help you, pray with you, counsel you, etc. So in closing, thank you for listening. Please send me your questions to james@endtimeissueministries.org. Please email me to join the mailing list at james@endtimeissueministries.org. If you decide to draw close to the Almighty, please let me know and I'll connect with you by Zoom, Teams, email, LinkedIn, Facebook, WhatsApp, or telephone so that I can help you with your journey. I hope to connect with you again next week when I will continue to explore how to become a friend of the Creator. Work with me to make a way for Yahushua to return in victory at the end of the millennium and make his enemies his footstool. Folks, that's about it. If you've been walking with me on this program for a while, you're probably going to drop off now, and I'm going to say good night. Thanks for joining. If you've only joined recently, as in this is the first or second time you've been on the channel, please stay on. I've got some things to share with you. So for those of you who are doing, it's been great seeing you. Go well. In closing, who am I? James Robertson. I have a doctorate in engineering and I'm a retired military commander. I now work as a management consultant. I have over 32 years' experience of actively seeking to draw close to the Almighty, following a dramatic encounter with him on the 12th of March 1993, when he spoke to me audibly in a locked room and I knew for certain that he was real. Learning about Father, I applied my deep-seated aversion to failure born out of an accident in early childhood, coupled to my engineering and military training of rigor and preventing failure, to my seeking of knowledge about Father. This journey led to numerous supernatural experiences, prayers answered, and clear communication with the Creator. It forms the basis for what I teach in these programs. See the video, Why Seek Relationship, for an overview of what I believe. Please visit my website at www.endtimeissueministries.org. The ETI version of the Bible with the correction of translation errors is on the ETI Bible version page. Recordings of nearly all of the teachings broadcast so far, go to relationshipwithcreatorradio.com or search on Google for quote relationship with Creator Radio unquote. Transcripts are on the transcripts for broadcast page. Books with teachings from 1998 to May 2019 are at the books for printing page. They're PDFs with covers that you can send to a print shop and they'll print and bind it for you. I publish regular email articles. Email me on james@endtimeissueministries.org to be added to the list or to seek counsel or prayer or give me feedback. Visit the website and use the article keyword cloud, table of contents, article search, and Google search to locate the information you're looking for. Folks, that's it. I'm pretty much out of time, and I really hope to hear from you. Don't hold back on emailing me. I love to hear from people who've been touched by the ministry in any way. Add you to the mailing list, get on Zoom with you, help you to grow. My passion is for you to get closer to Yah than I have ever been. I'm fairly close to him, but I'm not as close as I could be as a consequence of some bad mistakes I've made over the years and a steep learning curve that I've been on. You can learn from me and you can build on me and you can stand on my shoulders and you can go further. So please email me. Let's get on the phone. Let's get on Zoom and let's talk. So thanks very much. You go safely. Have a great weekend. Good night.
Father, I come to you, lifting up my hands. By your grace I stand, just because you love me. I know your favor.
Hi, I'm James Robertson. Has it ever occurred to you that because of the way humans almost universally mess up Father's plans on earth, that he's given up planning? If not, please listen to my broadcast where I discuss this and explain to you how you can make a difference. Broadcast is on w4cy.com, internet radio, or talk4tv.com, internet TV. Also visit my website at www.endtimeissueministries.org and visit www.relationshipwithcreatorradio.com for back issues of my broadcasts, or email me on james@endtimeissueministries.org to find out more. I look forward to hearing from you. Thanks so much.